Update: my girlfriend wants a baby but I don't, and we're 2 weeks away from moving in together. Original post: me and my girlfriend, both female, have been together for 3 years and are moving in together. I have a part-time job and an online business I'm trying to pick up from the ground, while my girlfriend works at a preschool, so you can imagine we're barely meeting the mark in living costs alone, hence me moving in with her since she has the lower rent. We've had talks about our wants in life, what career, dream trips, and family type. I've made it clear that I'm child-free due to my upbringing of parentification. Basically, I'm already tired and done with the child raising. She agreed, as her job was enough when it came to childcare. This was a year ago. While I was bringing in the last boxes for the day, I got a text from her saying she wanted to talk about something important. I figured it was about the stuff I was bringing in. I had more boxes back at my place, and followed her into her bedroom. She sat me down and asked me if I ever thought about marrying her one day. I admitted I wasn't sure yet since we're barely moving in together and we needed to get to know each other on this level first before making a big commitment like that. Heard plenty of horror stories of couples getting married before moving in and growing to hate each other. I still loved her, but I wanted to know everything step by step. She understood and brought up the reason why she was asking this: she wants to have kids after all. I was surprised to hear this. The preschool she works at is closer to my current place, so she'd swing by to decompress from it. She would tell me how exhausted and stressed she was from the kids and would even nap for hours before either staying the night or leaving back to her place after dinner. So, I was very confused and asked what changed her mind, and she told me whenever she helps the kids with their projects or they gift her drawings and bracelets, it makes her really happy. She even feels jealous toward these same kids giving their bigger projects to their parents and wanted that too. She would picture us picking our kid up from school, and it would make her excited for the future. After hearing this, I had to remind her that that's not possible since I'm child-free, and she said, "Still? Don't you feel like we could be doing more with our lives though? Wouldn't it be nice to have a mini-me or a mini-you running around?" No offense to parents and guardians here, but the idea of that made me cringe. I dealt with enough of my own siblings growing up, and all I remember is being exhausted, stressed, and too young to be taking care of 4 younger kids while I was barely getting out of elementary school. We got into a bit of an argument, with her saying I was keeping her away from motherhood, while I told her we made it clear with each other that we wanted to be child-free, so springing this on me all of a sudden as I'm moving in feels like a lot. We were going in circles with neither of us budging until she threw in the towel and told me to sleep on the couch. Admittedly, this made me mad, and I left the apartment entirely to sleep back at my place. I have 2 weeks left to move out, but I was so mad I was considering if I could cancel the move out with my landlord. I know just the thought alone is petty of me, but if having a kid is what she wants and I don't, then it was becoming obvious we were no longer going to be a good fit for each other. Either outcome, one of us would possibly grow to hate the other. I love her like crazy. I even admit the idea of marrying her has crossed my mind many times. But I'm trying to stay reasonable here with what we both want. She wants me and a family with kids, but I just want her, and maybe a pet. Right now I'm just sitting here on my mattress on the floor, and we're going to need to talk about this. Especially with a third of my stuff now sitting at her place. What can I do about all of this? Edit: I feel I need to clarify this. We're both mid-20s females, so it's not possible for me to get her pregnant. Although I do appreciate the concern and warnings about intimacy regardless. Reading the top comments before the update. You let her go. This issue has no compromise. The fact she thought you'd outgrow being child-free tells you everything you need to know. Tell her you have reached an unresolvable conflict and need to end the relationship. That comment was really something I didn't expect. I never would have expected her to outgrow her child-free mindset, especially with how exhausted she'd be after work and childcare. Even so, the idea of letting her go hurts, but you have a point. Not moving in isn't petty. It's being honest and honoring your own feelings. She wants kids and you don't. You've been very transparent about this and she hasn't. She was hoping you would change your mind and is showing a lack of respect here. You're not living a fulfilling life if you don't have kids is total bullcrap. You are incompatible. You don't have a kid to make someone else happy, and that's what she wants you to do. I don't want to go all Reddit paranoid on you, but I would put the brakes on intimacy just in case she decides to be extra manipulative. Edited for grammar. Thank you. The thing is, I believed she was being fully transparent since we made it clear to each other from that life conversation that we both wanted to remain child-free. This is the first time she's brought up this subject, not even a thought or offhanded comment from what I can remember. Also, thanks for the advice on the intimacy part, but we're both female. Update. Okay, I really don't know where to start from this. I want to thank those who commented on my last post and all the advice they have given me, and I feel I should also clarify some stuff. My girlfriend and I are both cis women, so I can't get her pregnant. Meaning hypothetically if we did have kids, it would have to be through a sperm donor or adoption. As ideal as it would be to move back with my parents during this time, they're unfortunately the type who believe my life is not fulfilled being child-free. We even had a fight over this, with them begging for grandchildren since I'm the oldest, not taking into account the parentifying they put me through being the biggest reason I don't want kids. They even said me helping with my siblings could count as training to be a parent. Honestly, that just made me more upset. I know people change their minds and are sometimes happier for it, but others that did so are more miserable for it, and I know I'll be the second type. Don't get me wrong, I love my siblings and would do anything for them, but it doesn't take away that I spent what should have been my own childhood building up theirs. I've done my share of parenting already, too much of it, and I refuse to go back. As for my girlfriend, now ex, building up a fantasy of parenthood, that seems to be the case, but there was another thing I really hoped wasn't true. So, next morning I get a text from her, asking if I can come back so we can talk about our fight. I was hoping with the cool down time we'd be more civil with the discussion, but just in case, I called my brothers and asked them for help and to be on standby. Despite the rough life I had to endure, at least my siblings recognized it was me raising them and our parents taking most of the credit, so they're always at the ready to help me when I need it. I rarely asked for any, so my brothers were quick to show up when I felt really desperate. I feel like I should give placeholder names here, so my brothers will be Tom and Jerry, and my girlfriend Sarah. So, Tom and Jerry come over, and I tell them I have to have a serious talk with Sarah, and if things go south, I'll need them with the moving van close by to get my stuff back. I left an email to my landlord about the moving situation hoping I can cancel the moving date, but if it doesn't work out, then Tom agreed to help me get a storage lot for my stuff and have me stay at his place until I can get a new place, so a backup plan is covered. I went to Sarah's, and she was puffy-eyed and red, hugging and apologizing to me for getting upset with me, and we started talking. To the commenters who threw in the idea that she may already be pregnant and cheated, I hate how right you were. She found out a week ago and was telling me how scared she was to be carrying a child and not knowing what to do, but the thought of being a parent brought her so much joy and she wanted to share the joy with me. She started hamming up a fantasy about us being a great team with both our experiences, and I just started blanking out. Like I can see her excitedly talking and all I can hear is, she cheated, she cheated, she cheated. After what felt like I swallowed gallons of seawater, she stopped talking, held my hand, and proposed. I just about had enough. Here was the woman I love, kneeling before me in a teary-eyed smile, and I'm trying not to scream and throw up over this being the thing people were right about. I asked her, so, you cheated on me, got pregnant, and you're expecting me to just marry you and live happily ever after with this? Guys, the look she gave me, actually shocked by what I said, made me want to leave, but I needed answers. When did she cheat? How and with who? How long does it even take for a pregnancy to happen between then and now? Sarah wouldn't answer the question, she just kept accusing me of accusing her of being unfaithful and shaming her for her actions. She said she did it for us and that the pregnancy was a beautiful thing she was willing to carry out for us, as if she did us a favor. She even had the nerve to say that if I really loved her, I'd stay and raise our child together. I couldn't take it anymore and just went into the bathroom and locked myself in there, texted my brothers to come up, and finally threw up in there while Sarah kept jiggling the doorknob. Eventually, I got the text that Tom and Jerry were at the door, and I finally left to open it, with Sarah now tugging on my sweater, begging and crying to hear her out. It didn't get any better when Tom and Jerry came in and began grabbing my boxes. She tried throwing books at them, so I tried to restrain her without hurting her. The boys didn't budge or stray, they were passing the boxes all outside into the hall while Sarah continued to scream and scratch at my arms under my sleeves. Eventually, she got a really bad scratch in and made me let go, and she ran into the bathroom and kept screaming and crying in there. Jerry warned me that she was only doing that to keep me from leaving and hoping I'd go in to comfort her, and to just keep gathering my boxes so he and Tom could keep getting them out. Neighbors were coming out to see the commotion, and I had to keep getting in between my brothers and them to explain what was going on, and all I had on my mind was hoping none of them would call the police. Thankfully, either the neighbors took our word or this was the one time the police took their time showing up, because we got my stuff back into the truck in about half an hour. I really hoped some of you weren't right. That she didn't cheat. That I wasn't going to be baby-trapped, or that she'd even think she could accomplish that with me having nothing to do with it biologically. Like, what the heck is my life right now? Here I thought I was safe from that kind of situation, but yoke on my face, I guess. I just don't know anymore, guys. Thank you for the warnings and the theories. Despite them all keeping me from sleeping, they kept me on edge for all the right reasons, and being an overthinker, I'm glad I was prepared for this outcome. I'm glad Tom and Jerry were there at the ready, because who knows what could have happened if I did this alone. Even Jerry brought that up, knowing how hesitant I was about asking for help. Great moment for an "I told you so, mate," but I know they both mean well. Especially Tom bringing his dog over for emergency cuddles while we wait for my landlord to get back to me. Until then, Jerry says I can stay over for a couple days until we know what we're going to do next. So, I guess the packing is in between a halt and still ongoing until my outcome is decided by my landlord. Again, thanks so much, you guys. I'll be sure to update once we know what the next course of action is, but for now I just want to lay down and cry while this giant, lovable ball of fur takes up half the mattress. Reading the top comments before the update. Great job getting out, and you raised your brothers right. Your ex is insane. I would get ahead of her lies because she is going to claim you agreed to have her get pregnant by some man the old-fashioned way and then raise the baby with her. She's going to tell everyone you abandoned her poor and pregnant and worried about living alone. You need to tell everyone she cheated and that you left her upon finding out. You don't have to mention the pregnancy. To think I'll have to take these measures. I take back everything I said about it not being possible for me to get baby-trapped. I'll be sure to do this before taking a break from my phone. If she has your info, put a freeze on your credit. Take her off all shared accounts, and if you have joint credit cards, revoke her access. Change all your passwords. Thank you for the advice. I never made any moves that would have us share finances or passwords of anything but our phones and a Netflix account. We were both really into Arcane. I put a freeze on my credit cards and changed the Netflix password, so all that's left is waiting. Second update. To those who want just a catch-up, my now ex and I were supposed to move in together. She brought up in the middle of me moving in that she wants kids after all, despite us both making it clear we were child-free. It looked like we were on the path of breaking up, so I went back to my old apartment. She asked to talk, and admitted she was already pregnant and expected me to be happy about it. I obviously wasn't. It was a messy situation to get out of there, with my brothers helping me move my stuff back, and she's not taking the consequences well. I was really hoping this would be my last update, but with the telenovela nonsense that is my life right now, more kept happening every time I felt ready to update you all. So, for starters, my landlord got back to me and canceled the move out so I can remain in my current apartment. Jerry has been really attentive, and honestly sometimes it did feel a little weird while he stayed over this whole time. For one thing, he piles a bunch of my plushies on me when I'd fall asleep. You really don't realize how much you have until it's piled all over you. I would cry a lot just laying there on the mattress with no energy to build the bed frame back, and many times he came by to just hold me while I sobbed. I mean, here's the same kid I had to hold while he cried over his first breakup, and here he is having the nerve to grow 2 feet taller than me, turning the tables. He really is just the sweetest. I feel bad for depending on him so much, even getting nervous whenever we had to go to work in case Sarah attempted to show up, so every day I came back to the apartment felt like I could breathe easily again. Tom wasn't a fan of how shut in we were being like caged animals, constantly cursing Sarah under his breath whenever he had the chance to visit. During all of this, they kept a watchful eye on her socials. She blocked them both, but not an account Jerry had for just digital art, and if there's one thing he stood by the most since being in grade school, it's to never throw the first punch. So there he was, monitoring any steps she was going to take, with evidence in hand if she was going to spin a different tale. But before that could happen, you guys were once again right about what she'd try next, because yeah, she went to our parents about the situation. They both called me, and I brought Tom and Jerry in tow only to find Sarah crying tears of joy as she went to try and hug me while our parents were excited for us. What the heck? She told them we were engaged, and she had the gall to show up with a ring and everything. The damn thing was from her side of the family. She never took it outside of its box. Tom and Jerry had to block her away from me, and it was unsettling watching her act like everything was normal, holding her belly and acting like the innocent, expecting fiancé. Tom pushed me into the kitchen as Jerry took out his phone. I was kept in there trying not to have an anxiety attack while I could hear Jerry yelling over Sarah as he showed our parents all the evidence he collected. Dad came into the kitchen and pulled my sleeves up, looking like he was gonna throw up seeing the scratches, then marched back to the living room and now he was shouting at Sarah. This part happened so fast. She came into the kitchen with our parents and Jerry chasing after her, and Tom swung me into the corner of the kitchen, shouting, "Stay away from her." Keeping himself between me and Sarah, holding onto me like a scared child. Again, oh, how the tables have turned. My mom came in like a bat out of hell, grabbing Sarah by the hair to drag her out, with Dad and Jerry keeping Sarah from falling. Sarah kept screaming for me to help her until I heard the door slam. Sarah banged and screamed at the door for a good while before we heard her car speeding off the driveway. After she was gone, our mother tried to scold me for getting involved with her, but Jerry and Dad had already had enough and yelled at her to shut up, so she just left for her room pouting like a child. I swear, even in a situation like this, none of us wanted to deal with narcissism next, so the three of us took her self-time out as a chance to leave. Even after all of that happening, Jerry still held onto the evidence and kept waiting. Sure enough, Sarah made the post he was waiting for, spinning a tale of me running away from an agreed pregnancy and leaving her alone as a single mother, even going so far as to bash my brothers for ganging up on her and threatening to harm her. On cue, Jerry posted the screenshots of her spam messages admitting to the cheating and basically trying to baby-trap me, pictures of my injuries and ruined sweater, and even got the doorbell camera from our parents' house of her showing up days after and getting kicked out and screaming at the door, with what actually happened written out in paragraphs. Then he went back to her post and spammed the comments section replies with the pictures and links to the post. Even some of the people in the comments were already questioning her story since a lot of them knew she and I were child-free, but for those ready to take her side, they were quickly given a reality check. He even edited his post to provide the link to her post and went right back to screenshotting everything before she had the chance to delete her post. Honestly, it scares me how on point and at the ready Jerry was with this, even going so far as already trying to find clues on the baby daddy and the night she likely cheated. Anybody need a guy in the chair? So yeah, everything's been hell for the past few weeks, but Jerry's being a total media sleuth in between helping me unpack along with Tom. Tom's been talking to a lawyer friend of his in case we got to go the legal route. Jerry's now getting office supplies and organizing a folder like his next scrapbook project, but until we decide to do that, we're keeping an eye out, especially on our mother. She and Dad may not have been reliable growing up, but if it's physical defense or getting the gossip train going, she's our best bet to see if she further sinks Sarah's ship to keep her from doing any more harm. Thanks again to everyone who's been keeping up with me on this, and I'm sorry to those of you who've been asking for updates or just didn't get a reply. I've been feeling mentally drained from all of this, and really, if it wasn't for my brothers taking the wheel here, I probably would have buckled to it all. I thought I knew better on what to do, but I really do suck at taking my own advice when it comes to crazy. Edit. My mistake on putting a couple weeks, I thought it was already at least 2 weeks, and I'm seeing my last update was 9 days ago. Time really feels like forever during this crap. Reading the top comments before the update. If your mother is a narcissist, don't ask her to do something for you. It will be fuel for her and you may regret it. Don't worry, I haven't. It's more that she puts herself in the middle of the rumor circle whether you want her to or not. At best, we're kind of taking advantage of that flaw of hers, knowing what happened will spread quickly to people. Feels crappy to let her bad habits continue like that, but thankfully, she's just that predictable. This is when things go from creepy to downright terrifying. Please stay safe, OP. Sarah is downright unhinged, and I think she's just getting started. I got a cold shiver down my spine reading that Sarah was shouting at OP to help her. She's so far into her delusion, reality no longer means anything to her anymore. Or she's trying to push the guilt buttons. You loved me once, help me, I'm being hurt. This is one of the things that makes law enforcement and security really hate domestic disputes. Fortunately, OP didn't respond. All the credit really goes to Tom. He told me he was mostly shielding me so I wouldn't cave into her if she managed to grab me. There were times where me wanting to help our parents during some bad times really messed me up, and they didn't want the same to happen with Sarah, saying I have a savior's complex. I feel it less now but mostly just tired. Last update. Hello again. I'm sorry for not checking in here for so long, but thank you all nonetheless for the kind messages you sent me. I'm really sorry for not responding to any of it. Ever since my last update I've been in a dark place for the most part. It feels weird, I'm still doing my job and household work relatively okay, but it feels like I'm looking through a clouded window while my body does the work. I knew it was getting really bad when Jerry stood in front of me and I had to process that he was still here, and I just felt so terrible he had to see me this way. I could see him talking, but he sounded so muddled until I fully came back to register him. We had a talk, and he suggested that he could move in if it'll make me more comfortable, knowing he's not temporary. I felt bad thinking he was going to be stuck taking care of me through this, but he says he doesn't mind and he just wants to make sure I'm okay. Either way, I'm going to try extra hard to mentally be present and get some therapy, because clearly how I'm processing everything isn't going so great. So, on what happened with Sarah, as I've mentioned somewhere in the comments of my last post, her parents got involved when I received a call from her mother. I was still in my dark place, so I just let it ring until she sent a text instead, wanting to meet up to discuss the situation. Originally, I didn't want to, but Tom made it a point that I'd need to shut things down on that end too, to keep them from potentially bothering me in Sarah's stead, especially if they buy her story. Jerry hasn't had much luck finding the father. Not a lot of Sarah's friends are much help despite being there the night she cheated. He figured out that part by one of them admitting she was flirting with some guy none of them knew, and she claimed to have gotten an Uber ride home earlier than them. They sent him screenshots of texts with her confirming she got home safe, but not much else to figure out who the guy was. So, it's a bit of a dead end, and I told him to just give up since it's out of our hands now. As for the actual meeting with her parents, that got really ugly. I know during these situations it's best to meet in a public place, but with how the last interactions went, I was afraid that if we met at a park or restaurant, all it takes is one phone camera and an outburst, and we'd be all over social media. Tom found a restaurant with one of those closed-off rooms for dining parties, so we settled for that to meet with her parents to clear the air. They originally tried to get me to come alone, but I argued I wouldn't come at all if I didn't have Tom and Jerry with me. So at the restaurant, it was really awkward with all of us ordering. I felt especially bad for the waiter. Poor guy probably sensed what was happening as soon as he walked in. Oh my god, guys, it was so bad. Sarah told her side, I told mine. Jerry took out his folder of printouts. At this point, the kid should have been a lawyer, and Tom tried to keep everyone from getting too loud. Eventually her mother was going on and on about the sanctity of marriage and how we needed to be a team. For the love of God, we weren't even actually engaged, and how I needed to be a good partner and be there for my future wife and child. At this point, Jerry would have been thrown out of the courtroom if he actually became a lawyer, so please excuse the language here, but this is what he yelled. Oh my god, she doesn't even have a manhood, it's not her baby. I swear, you could hear whoever might have been eavesdropping on the whole thing hiss in their teeth with how quiet it got. Her parents were in shock, I was horrified, and Tom, I don't know? Also horrified but in agreement? And Jerry just kept going, how the ring Sarah was wearing wasn't even for me, how I didn't have one, how we're child-free, and yeah, the whole not being a reproductive candidate in this equation. After that was all off his chest, Jerry gathered his folder and stood behind Tom as if he was putting himself in a timeout, or was exhausted, I don't know. Probably both. Neither I, Sarah, or her parents knew what else to add from there. Sarah kept trying to grab either of their hands to get them to look at her, but they just wouldn't. Eventually, they apologized and got up to leave. Sarah then started to argue again, but they were both quick to tell her to shut up and go get in the car with them or she was completely on her own. Sarah looked at me with those sad eyes I always fell apart for and left with her head down, her parents following. That was 2 weeks ago, and now she's back home with them in another city. Even with the distance, Jerry and I got the okay for a doorbell camera and already had it set up. I'm still waiting for an opening for a therapist, but in the meantime I'm trying to get out of my funk and focusing on moving Jerry in. The landlord was okay with it considering the situation. I honestly feel so bad for doubting him on having my back through all of this, but he's been pretty lenient with me and I really appreciate him for that. He even had my locks changed with no extra charge and gave us those screw-on window locks. Jerry's settling in with his stuff, and Tom got a weekend off from his job to help move things and stay over on the newly acquired giant beanbag chair from Jerry's old apartment. One time in the morning, I checked with him to see if he was really okay with this, and he was more than happy. He said where he was living wasn't so great and that this way it feels like he's home again. My siblings really have a knack for making me cry over cereal, but it felt nice that they were kind of happy tears for a change. Sarah hasn't tried to contact me ever since she left, but some old friends have. Those who took her side despite all the evidence are no longer my friends and have been blocked after collecting those screenshots, while the ones who saw the situation for what it was remained supportive and cut the people buying into Sarah's crazy off for good. It still feels weird calling her that, crazy. She was someone I loved and was so excited to see if we could live together well enough to keep moving forward in our relationship. And now I don't even recognize her anymore. I don't know if she'll keep working in schools, all I know is she left the school she worked at and that her parents are trying to find the father. But despite everything she put me through, I really hope she gets the help she needs. I don't like that she was selfish, cheated, and tried to baby trap me, I see that. But before all of it, I still loved her, and whatever she decides with this pregnancy, I hope she gets that help before moving on to her next step. Thank you all for being here for me during this. I suspect this'll be my last update, but if anything else happens, I'll let you all know. Jerry keeps the folder in a locked drawer with only us and Tom having a key to it, and he still checks online from time to time if he needs to update anything, so I hope with this being potentially over, he can be on the screens less. I fear he may be hurting his eyes more than he should. Please be safe, and take care of yourselves, everyone. My heart breaks for you having to go through all this trauma, especially from someone you held so dear. I'm so proud of you and your brothers for having each other's back. It will take time to heal from something this traumatic, but with time and a lot of love and work, hopefully you can heal. Sending you the biggest grizzly bear hugs and so much love. Please don't let this harden your heart. Take care. Thank you. For now, I'm just hoping to focus on work and moving Jerry in while we wait for a therapy opening for me. I still find myself under these bad spells, but at least waiting for the therapy opening feels like an odd goalpost, and having Jerry home shakes me out of it enough to come back mentally for a bit. He recently brought in some boxes full of books he would like to keep in the common room, so it's been keeping me busy playing Tetris with the shelf I have in there.